Okay, welcome back, everybody. So we're going to talk about seller representative agreements in this unit. It has 5 lessons, and all of these do not apply specifically to the state of Maryland. Some of them are, some of them aren't. I will let you know when it is. I don't think we're going to get all of this on one video, but, we'll see. We'll get most of it for sure. Try and get all the lessons maybe, and then just do the exam on a separate video. Okay, type of listing agreements. It's a binding contract entered in the seller of property. You need to put the list, what is the list price of the property? When does the listing agreement end? You post the listing on them. All of this stuff is stuff you will be doing as a future realtor. You will 3 types of listing agreements: exclusive right to sell, exclusive agency, and open listings. Okay, so it is a listing agreement, or listing contract is a binding contract entered by the seller of the property and you as the seller's agent listing. Apparently that's not right. Okay, let's try it again. Entered in, you are the seller's listing agent. Entered into by the seller of a property. Okay. What was I missing? Oh, I put buyer. Yeah, it's seller. Okay. So you need to know how to read on your exam, obviously, or you're going to fail, because I just wasn't reading that. You see what happened? I got it wrong. All right, and you don't want to make them kind of stupid errors on your test, because you're going to need every little single question possible. A listing agreement is an employment contract between an individual licensee and the seller. Yeah, we'll get it right next time. You're right. False. Why is this false? Okay, an employment contract between an individual. It says right here, it's an employment contract between the broker and a seller. Okay, that's why we got it wrong. It's between the brokerage. Violating the Broker Act. Which of the following is a violation of the Real Estate Brokers Act? Okay, right here. Never use any form that bears the name of an organization from which you are not a member. And that might be specific to Maryland. I don't know. I think that's pretty standard all over. I have my Virginia license right now, and you cannot put another brokerage name or anything else on a contract. The brokerage has to be on the contract in both states that I have worked. Okay, let's see. Allows the seller to contract with multiple agents, but only pays a commission to the agent who locates. We don't have our little resource over here this time. Okay. It only pays a commission to the agent who locates a buyer. Maybe exclusive. Allows sellers to work with an agent while still trying to locate a buyer themselves. And allows the listing agent to list the property and receive a commission no matter what buyer is brought to the table. Okay, so these two must be mixed up. This must be open, and this must be exclusive. Open, exclusive. Okay, let's try it again. All right, so if you want to take any screenshots, here you go. These types of questions will be on the test. And if you have a basic understanding, you should be able to get this right. Allows sellers to work with an agent while still trying to locate a buyer themselves as an exclusive agency. I know that doesn't make any sense to me either. Why are you exclusive if you're going to get somebody else to help you? All right, what type of agreement is in place here? The Damons are selling their home. Only the lucky dog who brings the buyer to the table gets 5%. And I believe it is open listing. That's right. An agreement with multiple licensees is an open listing. Whoever brings that buyer to the table gets 5% commission. What type of agreement's in place here? Gerald wants a real estate agent who is going to work hard for him and is willing to pay the agent no matter what buyer he brings to the table. So it must be exclusive right to sell. Okay. All right. Exclusive agency. With an exclusive agency agreement, only one broker lists the property regardless of who finds it. Any other broker or agent, the listing agent is owed a commission. Okay, not true. I guess because it's exclusive. With an exclusive agency, only one broker lists the property. If that broker or any other broker agent sells the property, the listing agent is owed and a commission is agreed upon in the agency agreement. However, if the owner finds a buyer, there is no fee owed. So this is kind of worded weird. So it says here the listing agent is owed a commission, which is true if it's agreed upon in the agency agreement. So they're not being very specific in this question, because technically it could be yes, because the listing agent is owed a commission. Normally a listing agent is not going to be bringing in buyers if they're not going to get paid for it. I mean, unless it's volunteer work and you agree you're going to do it and not get paid. But most real estate agents are not doing volunteer work. Regardless of the type of listing agreement you use, every agreement should contain which of the following: the amount of commission, listing price, transaction closing date. I don't know about the closing date. It definitely needs to start and end. Yeah, you're not gonna. How do you know when you're gonna close? You don't know when you're gonna bring somebody to the table. So that's kind of a tricky question there, but no, you're not going to have a transaction closing date. Okay, elements of a listing agreement. Alrighty. You need the start and end dates. Okay, all the things. These include, no matter what brokerage you're in, you need to know who. You need to allow a cooperating broker to bring somebody to your house because you're trying to sell, right? And you want to get it sold as quick as possible for the most amount of money. You don't want to be limiting other people from looking at the house. All right, start and end date for the listing period, yes. Amount of compensation, yes. The listing price. Marketing agents, it's illegal to refuse to show a property to a specific class of people. I would believe that should be on there. Let me see. Showing instructions. All right. Notice that it's illegal to refuse to sell a property. Automatic renewal clause. I don't know if that's got to be in there. Let's check it and see what it says. Look at all the stuff that's got to be in here. This is a lot of stuff. And I'm not going to be reading all this. If you want a copy of this, you can email me or contact me on my website. Be specific on what reference you're asking for. And just remember that this is not specific to Maryland. Your state may have more stuff on it. Who knows? So you need to find out. But this is like almost everything. This one I don't know about. I'm going to put yes. But it's no. Okay, that's what I figured. I wasn't sure. Okay, so needs to have this amount of compensation, marketing agents. Yes, and there is no automatic renewal clause. All right, listing agreement sections. All right, informs the seller that they are granting the broker the right to use non-confidential information about the property. All right, we got to look at this because I have no idea. Okay. Non-confidential information about the property. I would think that would be non-confidential material. Must be the disclaimer right here. Release a property date. Let's go on a different one. That way I can figure it out by process of elimination. Okay, requires the seller to give permission to the broker to reveal the buyers if there are any other offers on the table. Disclose offers. Notice the seller about a brochure that explains issues regarding property insurance coverage. Insurability. Okay, notice to the sellers who are foreign persons or non-residents about the income tax. I'm thinking it's FIRPTA. Yes, foreign investment and real property tax. Identifies which attachments are part of the agreement. I'm thinking that is addenda. Yeah, and then notice to the sellers that the contract of sale may require to them to convey a property that is free from all issues. And I'm thinking that's release of property data. Violation. No, it's violation notices. Okay. Release of property data. Okay, it must be this one. Process of elimination. Release of property data. I'm trying to find that. Release of property data. Okay. Never mind. It's not on here anywhere. Release of property data. Release. Maybe it's this one. All right. Anyway, let's go down here because we'll be here all day looking at that. Okay, all those are correct, of course, because we did it by process of elimination before we run out of time. All right, understanding what listing agents can do for the other party. Which part of the agreement does the broker do things that let an appraiser into the house? I'm guessing this. We got ministerial acts. That doesn't mean ministering. It just means performing task. Okay. Required disclosures. Okay, we don't need to look at that right now. The condition of the property, yes. The use of lead paint, whether the seller carries flood insurance. I'm not sure that that would need to be in there. Whether the seller is a non-resident, I don't think you need to know whether they carry flood insurance. All right. for tax purposes. Okay. We need to disclose whether they're a non-resident. Well, okay, learn something new every day. And we don't need to know if they cover flood insurance because they might not carry flood insurance. What two things happen if the buyer does not receive the statement on or before the signed purchase order? May rescind the contract of sale before receiving the disclosure. Let's try that, see what happens. The buyer doesn't have to go through with the contract. Didn't I already say that? I already hit everything on here, okay? I already hit this. What are they talking about? Maybe it's right. Maybe it's right. Try again. No, that's not right. Oh, what two things? Okay, that's what I'm missing here. Okay. All right. Like, what is the problem here? Oh, there we go. All right, the buyer can rescind the contract of sale. The listing agreement is not legally binding. That's a good question. I don't agree with that, I don't think. I think it is legally binding. Those people are signing it, it's like a contract. It's binding upon the parties. Seller is required to have attorney to agree it. The listing agreement is interpreted according to the laws of your state, by the way. False, it is not legally binding, okay? All right, well, learn something new. You do not have to have an attorney present when you are doing a contract. Terminating the agency agreement. The broker can terminate the agreement anytime. I believe so. If the seller violates or intends to violate any fair housing laws. Elements of the listing agreement. Recap. Disclosures. Listing agreement disclosures. Consent for. You need the federal lead-based paint disclosures. And this is in any state, by the way, not just Maryland. There's a pamphlet that we hand out. We hand this out in Virginia and Maryland, so I'm sure it's more than one state. All right. Provides that the seller agrees or does not agree to be represented by a dual agent. Consent for dual agency. It states if the property contains lead-based paint or lead-based paint hazards. Defects about the property disclosure statement. All three of these things are needed. You must have your client complete the consent for dual agency form at the time of you two are completing the listing agreement. And if the seller and buyer have consented to dual agency and the dual agency situation arises, you must consent. They must reaffirm their consent. We did videos on this already. I believe it's dual agency video. If you're not familiar with these rules, you can go back and look at that. The federal lead-based paint disclosure form must be completed and attached. If it's applicable to that property, it must. I don't know if it's got to be attached to the listing agreement or you just hand it to them. I think you just got to hand it to them, but we'll put true there. All right, the property disclosure and disclaimer statement must be completed by the seller, provided to the buyer before at the time the buyer executes your purchase agreement. Yes, they need to know what's going on with their property. Okay, no, it does not have to be attached. That's what I thought, because I never had anybody attach it to my listing agreement. You just hand them a copy of the pamphlet and they'll sign something, but it doesn't have to be with the listing agreement. Disclosure requirements. If you find yourself in a potential dual agency situation in which one client does not consent to dual agency, you must terminate your broker relationship with one of the parties. I can't remember, but I'm going to put true. Although it's the seller's responsibility to complete the paint disclosure form, it is your responsibility to give out the pamphlet to the buyers. True. It is your responsibility to let the sellers know that once they complete the disclosure statement, they are under no obligation to voluntarily disclose any material property defects to a property. I don't know about that one either. Neither the seller or you are required to disclose the existence of latent defects. It's up to the buyer to uncover those defects. I don't think that's true. I think if you're representing somebody and you know there's a problem with this house, then you need to tell them. If the buyer's broker or you fail the disclosure before the written offer to the seller, it could result in disciplinary action. Yes, that's true. So I got all these right. So I know my stuff as a real estate agent on this kind of stuff here. Disclosures are very important. If you just know anything about the house, if the seller knows anything about the house, just be upfront about it. If somebody was murdered in the house, you need to let them know. If the house was burned down and rebuilt, just let them know. It'll probably make them more happy if it's a brand new house. Anything that's going on in the house, the pipes are leaking and you need to get up out of there because you can't afford it. You can't put a homeowner's insurance claim on the property because your insurance will go up and you need to escape from this house. And you're just letting them know that there is a leaky pipe in this house. We already know it. I mean, more than likely they're not going to want the house, but you got to tell them anyway. It's just the way it is. You never know. You might get somebody in there that don't care. What is the minimum number of years that the listing agreement and disclosures must be kept on file? This changes with every broker, so you need to check with your broker. This is specific to a state and the brokerage, so you need to check. These are all the disclosures that you need to do, and it could be specific to your state, but I can tell you now that the property disclosure is not. This is not specific to Maryland. This is for all places. You need to disclose and disclaim what is going on with the property if you know something. This is pretty true too, by the way. And this one is probably true too. Roles and responsibilities of a listing agent. I don't know if we're going to get through all of this. You must work with your sellers in public with honesty and integrity. You must disclose any material facts. You must maintain client confidentiality. And you must present all offers to the client. You must put your client's interest above all others. And you must advise your client to seek advice from a qualified professional when the information is beyond your scope of expertise. All this was covered in other videos, by the way. All right. Termination of listing agreements. Okay, we're terminating the agreement. The property sells and closes. It is terminated. The stating term ends even though the property hasn't sold. The broker and seller agree to terminate. The listing agent abandons the listing. No, if the listing agent abandons, then the broker takes over and he will probably assign it to somebody else in the office. The seller requests to terminate. The seller, under an exclusive right to sell, locates a buyer. Is it terminated? I don't think so. There's only one thing in the list that's not valid. The listing agent abandons the listing. Yes. Okay. Well, it's terminated. All right. Well, my bad. Seller Seller requests to terminate. And locate the buyer, no. All right. What does the seller owe? Without the broker's permission, a seller terminated a listing agreement before the date stated in the contract. What might a seller owe? Marketing and advertising. Maybe a cancellation fee. Maybe. There are only two correct, okay? No cancellation fee, but they might have to do commission. Let's identify whether commission should be paid to the listing agent in each of these scenarios. Assume an exclusive right to sell agreement was signed, meaning the agent receives commission no matter who found the buyer. The property sold and closed should be paid to the listing agent. The property sells after the listing agreement age, but the buyer learned of the property during the listing period. The property doesn't sell during the listing period. The owner decides not to list the property again. Okay, I'm trying to go a little faster so this video doesn't go on past 30 minutes. Okay, so we covered all of that. The unit exam I'm going to do on the next video because this is getting kind of long. I'm just going to look at this. Okay, this is just an example, and you will see enough of these in your office. Okay, so let's see. Not yet reviewed. Roles and responsibilities of a listing agent. Okay, if you want any of these resources, be sure to contact me on my website. All right. Thank you all for watching. Come back if you want some more questions for your test.